Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. I think in the next couple of minutes we will have people joining in. Very welcome to the eighth conversation on agroecology, where we dive into the topic of the role of policy for agroecological transition. I'm Taru Sandén, and together with Carla Breitz from INRAe, Portugal, I'm pleased to moderate this conversation. I come from the Austrian Agency for Health and Food Safety, and together with my colleagues Julia Forafellner and Katrin Buchinger, we'll be running the conversation. Katrin will be there for you during the whole time if you have any technical difficulties. So please feel free to send a chat to Katrin and she will be helping you. And Julia will be writing a summary of the conversation that will be available alongside with the recording after the conversation on our agroecology webpage. And agroecology, if you have not yet been at the conversations or have not yet read about the partnership, it's the European Partnership on Accelerating Farming Systems Transition, Agroecology Living Labs and Research Infrastructures. It's a collaborative research and innovation initiative that involves the European Commission, 26 member states, associated countries, and third countries, and is a group of a total 72 partner organizations. So quite an undertaking. These conversations on agroecology are one of the first steps to enhance the agricultural knowledge and innovation systems, the so-called AKIS, for the agroecological transition. And these conversations aim to foster collaboration and connections between living labs and research infrastructures and their actors across Europe and hopefully even beyond. We organize these conversations on a monthly basis, and they will continue throughout the 7-year partnership, and thereby promoting engagement and collaboration between partners in the partnership, but also external. And we hope that you all enjoy today's conversation. Today, we have two presentations. The first one is prepared from the partnership perspective by Ivana Trkulja and Allison-Marie Loconto, representing Work Packets 2. Ivana is representing the International Center for Research in Organic Food Systems at Aarhus University, and Allison, the French National Institute for Research on Agriculture, Food and Environment, INRAe. Ivana will today walk you through a pilot study on science policy interfaces that was conducted last year as part of the partnership. And as a second speaker, we have Aykut Ordukaya from the Turkish General Directorate of Agricultural Research and Policies. In his talk, he will explain the history, policies, and practices of agroecological transition in Turkey as a practical perspective on how transition can take place. We will first listen to both of the individual talks, and after that, you will have the possibility to ask questions and discuss the topic of policy in agroecological transition. If you have questions during the presentations, please feel free to write in the chat at any time. We will also collect those questions and post them to Ivana and Aykut. So at any time, you can always use the chat for technical questions, but also for questions for the speakers. As you have noticed, the conversation is being recorded. Is there anyone who objects to that? No hands up. Very good. So the recording will be available after the conversation through our webpage. And to ensure that we have a good technical quality throughout the conversation, please keep your microphones and cameras closed when you are not speaking, when you want to take part in the discussion. And then, of course, please also open your camera. And without a further ado, I would like to move to our first talk and give the floor to Ivana. Ivana, you're very welcome to start.
Thank you very much, Taru, and also big thanks to the whole team that has invited me and my colleague Alison Loconto from Work Package on Science Policy. We work closely with a team of colleagues within the science policy team and invitation to be part of the ICROFS conversation is both informative from our side, so that we would like to provide some information, but we also hope to receive some inputs and feedback on certain things that the science policy pilot study that we have conducted maybe could be improved in its second phase planned for 2025. So as already kindly introduced by Taro, my name is Ivana Trkulja. I work at ICROFS and it's an international center for research in organic food systems. So we try to contribute from this perspective of organic food and farming to the agroecology transition efforts in the partnership. And my colleague Alison Loconto is part of INRAe. We are based in Denmark, and Alison and her team are based in France. So today's presentation is entitled Supporting Agroecology Transition Through Science Policy Interfaces. And we have conducted a pilot study in this context late in November, December of 24. So this is what we would like to share with the audience here. Karen, I think we can go to the next slide, please. A few introductory words. What is the Work Package on Science Policy doing? So we aim to ensure, or we would like to ensure that policies that are related to agroecology are science-based policies, so that there is a link between what scientifically is researched and produced and what the policy makers then use to make the policies actually in this context. So exchange between scientists and policymakers, considering the current policies and governance models. This is our main aim, and in order to work on this pilot survey, we worked across two different tasks. One is more on agroecology transition as actual understanding what are the policies that are on this subject existing. And the other task, you can see 2.1 and 2.2 on the screen, is then more closely really science policy advice. How is that mechanism functioning in each country, in each region, understanding the bottlenecks, understanding the challenges. Thank you. Katrin, please, if we can go to the next. Yes, I think this is just to emphasize that we are not doing this only in two organizations. You can see that ICROFS is a lead on this task on understanding the current state of art, and the contributing organizations are listed below, both research institutions and umbrella organizations as a network organizations, and even a local government, so quite diverse group. Next slide, please, Katrin. The same for the task 2. Again, number of research organizations, funding institutions. And these two groups were actually the first groups as audience that we have used to disseminate the pilot study that we had launched in 2024. So it was not a very wide study. It covered the partners that we had in-house. Thank you. Please, the next slide. Among the partners that I'm saying that we were as partners in-house, it's also my colleague Aykut Ordukaya, who will be presenting after me. So these are closely interconnected presentations and also activities that were done jointly. So just to mention it at this point. Timeline of the survey, you can see that it was a really step-by-step process. We had a concept note and development of the survey in last year, May, June. Then we started preparing the pilot phase. There was also a European panel for agroecology transition. This is one of the activities that we have in a science policy work package in December. So we validated some of the survey questions during that panel. And finally, when we launched in November, but November, December, January, and February, we try to work on analysis of this survey, and we plan now with the revised survey questions to approach all the governing board members in agroecology partnerships, so across all the work packages, and try to have their input, so have a wider audience. Katrin, please, if we can see the next slide. Some questions that this survey or study is approaching is which sectoral policies are in line with agroecology principles? What are the current forms of scientific advice used by policy actors? Which AKIS are part of the current science policy interfaces regionally and nationally? So both national and regional levels we considered were very important for understanding and for, of course, enhancing the agroecology transition. Please, if we can see the next slide. Yes, I would like to now show more really hands-on results from the data survey. You can see that it's a limited number of responses because we were using our in-house resources, so only 21 responses from 6 countries. But we already received across these different survey aspects, we received certain indications where the possible challenges and when the strong forces, strong sides are of the work. Please, if we can then go and see a few of the survey responses together with the participants here. Katrin, if we can see the next slide, please. So how important are the following 4 dimensions of agroecology in your country region? So I think that audience here is familiar. We have a social movement, science, practice, and practices as the 3 main elements of agroecology. We can see that the social movements and science were extracted as an important element, and important is the green part of the answer, so you can visually follow that was quite dominant among the participants. Please, if we can see the next. Then are the following agroecological principles and or practices applied for more than 2% of agriculture in your country region? And there are a number of high-scoring elements, but we can see that especially local production and supply chains was emphasized. Also, diverse crop rotation, holistic farming systems, organic farming, regenerative farming. And actually, in our revised survey, we decided to split some of these holistic farming systems in order to have more up-to-date information on what interviewees exactly meant. Katrin, please, if we can see the next. Do national regional policies enforce and support following principles and practices with agroecological transition? Again, the the main vision was, yes, that it's supported and holistic farming systems was highly scoring. So we would really want to know for each country what exactly is the, not just cumulatively, but what exactly is the vision, how it is, which practices are considered agroecological transition. We can see also that some other elements, like again, local production, supply chain, animal health, animal welfare, biodiversity preservation, these are all considered important. If we can see, please, the next slide, and I think that we have maybe one or two more from the survey, and then we come to the concluding part. Now, this part of the survey was more about the policies. So, do you agree that policies in support of agroecological transition build on scientific advice that is provided to policymakers and civil servants? And the top scoring answer is that civil servants are interested in scientific advice and in ongoing dialogue with other stakeholders. We can also see that the ministries do have maybe their sectoral research institutions. We can also see that there is maybe a formal contract between research institutions and the ministries. So there is a level of interaction from the scientific, starting from scientific experience to the policymakers in this context. Can we see, I think, the last slide from the survey? Yes. And do you agree with the following statements regarding policies and opportunities towards agroecology transition? And this, I think, is important because here we can see that the current that there is a disagreement that the current European policies foster agroecological transition. So this, I think, is the weak point, what we have discovered in the pilot phase, and that the current national regional policies sufficiently support agroecological transition. Again, there is a disagreement. If we can see the concluding slide now, please. So also as an opening of a discussion later on, I think it's interesting to see that the current policies do seem to include agroecological practices, but they do not appear to support agroecological transition. It could be for different reasons. Simply maybe because the advisory system is not in place. It seems that EU policies are a little bit more supportive than national regional policies, but there is an agreement that more attention to actual transition part towards agroecology needs to be somehow developed, maybe through more scientific papers and results for civil servants, maybe through incorporation of more results from the scientific social movements activities. We also want to propose through our activities maybe to bring on pan-European level policymakers that work on science, that in the context of science policy interface, and create a critical mass that will work on this subject more systematically as agroecological transition aspect. So this is from our side. We aim to have a second phase of the survey from March, and if there are any colleagues in the audience that represent regional or national government or work closely with the regional national government that are not in agroecology partnership already, please leave us your contacts. We would be happy to engage you in the survey when we start this new phase. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivana. Very interesting to hear the very first results of the survey. And we indeed already in the chat have a question for you. We can take this one question and then we open up for more questions after the second talk. There is one question from Heide Spiegel, very interesting questions. Why was the survey not conducted on a broader basis, for example, across the entire agroecology partnership and beyond?
Thank you very much for the question. Our ambition was to create a survey questionnaire that would be first checked for its feasibility among the more narrower team. So this is why we only use the work package 2 as outreach. Indeed, our plan is to launch it across all the agroecology partnership geography from March onwards. So this is our intention. Thank you for confirming that this would be a wise way to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very good to hear that it will go to all of the countries. Ivana will stay with us. So if you have a burning question, you can already write it in the chat, and we will open up for general discussion after the second talk. Thank you very much, Ivana. And we will now move forward to the second speaker. So next one with us will be Aykut Ordukaya from the Turkish General Directorate of Agricultural Research and Policies. And he will give us insights in how agricultural transition has been happening in Turkey. Aykut, you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Taru. I think you can see the presentation.
Yes, it's perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Taru. And first of all, I would like to thank AKIS team, Taru, Julia, Katrin, and also Ivana, Allison, and Carla for making this event or conversation possible. I'm delighted to provide a perspective for agroecological transition in Turkey. My name is Aykut Ordukaya. I work as an EU expert at General Directorate of Agricultural Research and Policies, TAGEM, under the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry of Turkey. In the presentation, I will start with the historical background, namely drivers playing a major role in agroecology transition in Turkey. I'll continue with the policy legislation in place and then give some good examples reflecting agroecology transition in Turkey. Also, I dedicated a short final part to the next steps to be taken as we look ahead. What we understand from agroecology is that it's a discipline that aims to use ecosystem-based agriculture and natural resources in a sustainable manner. This discipline opposes to intensive use of inputs, namely chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and also monoculture agriculture in traditional agricultural practices. On the other hand, agroecology promotes organic farming, biological control, and polyculture farming. For sure, we can enlarge the list with different tools and applications. This is just a quick reflection of what is meant by agroecology transition. At this juncture, I need to mention that although Turkey is not rich in chemical fuels, in particular liquid fuels, it's well endowed in terms of biodiversity and genetic resources. This provides the basis for understanding how the science of agroecology and sustainable agricultural practices have taken root in Turkey. The table shown on the slide reflects different periods for food systems and agroecology transition in Turkey. It provides a basis and sheds light to rationale leading to agroecology transition. This segmented approach is useful for understanding the spirit in a particular period, and each period does not represent an outright breakaway from the earlier one. First period, covering the years between 1923 and 1950, is called the traditional period, and prominent features of this period were extensive subsistence farming, manure use, and also weeding for pest control. I must say weeding was mostly used as a method and enough for pest control. Covering the years from 1950 to 80, This is called as the transition period, and this comes after the Green Revolution and covers elements such as intensive farming, use of chemical fertilizers, and monoculture along with irrigation. And finally, the modern food systems period, which started in 1980s, focused on even larger quantities of production. And this period signifies no market intervention, resorting to more chemical fertilizers and food loss and waste with the partial effect of much longer supply chain. With respect to legislation and policy in place, the increases in production, yield, along with the use of chemical fertilizers and soil degradation during the modern period, which I mentioned in the previous slide, inevitably revealed the need to give more importance to environmental factors. In line with that prevalent spirit, organic production, which started in mid-80s with figs, raisins, and citrus fruits for export, began to take shape as a stable but slowly growing domestic market, and low on organic farming came into force in 2004. In 2010, Turkey also adopted regulation on the principles and implementation of organic farming, referring to all kinds of organic plant, animal, and aquaculture production. It defines the rules and procedures for the processing, packaging, labeling, storage, transportation, marketing, control, certification, and inspection of organic products. With the regulation on implementation of good agricultural practices, which was adopted in 2010, the aim was to regulate agricultural production that does not harm the environment, human and animal health, to protect natural resources, to ensure traceability and sustainability in agriculture while safeguarding safe food supply. And we continue with the some environmentally friendly support schemes already existing in Turkey. These are the organic farming and good agricultural practices, the soil analysis support. These are all area-based supports. And also land conservation for environmental purposes program, which aims to protect soil and water quality, sustainability of natural resources, prevention of erosion, and alleviation of negative effects of agriculture. Along with those that I mentioned before, the biological and biotechnical control support, there is that kind of support, and the payment is made to reduce the use of pesticides. The next slide, and the diagram reflects the TAGAM's institutional framework and approach in determining the opportunity areas for research, including agroecology inclusive areas. This is kind of an R&D planning and the project generation process, including the areas of agroecology under the institution that I'm working for. Here you see the development plans serving as, on the left-hand side, serving as umbrella policy documents on which the ministerial strategic plans are based. Then we come across with the master plans under which areas of opportunity for research are determined. These areas are inclusive of areas related with agroecology transition. In the end, researchers come up with projects to be submitted to the project evaluation committee under each particular area of opportunity. Then I move on to the good agroecological practices. I start with Sakuda. It's founded in 2017 with the motto of an alternative ecological food network. This is an acronym for the Sakarya Smallholders Solidarity Network. Sakarya is a province in the northwest of Turkey, and it's known for the agroecological practices and high quality products, and has reduced their fossil fuel use. Another case is a Güdül case, is an initiative from Güdül district of Ankara, the capital of Turkey. It includes lead farmers, and they know producers personally grow and consume natural products, preserve traditional and heirloom seeds, reduce transportation costs, and protect natural resources. They also promote agroecology and environmentally friendly farming techniques. Another initiative is from Izmir, a city located at the west end of Anatolian Peninsula. It's called Another Agriculture is Possible. It's a local movement requiring less irrigation. Producers can grow their own products independently of large monopolies with a local product planning suitable for the region. Another good practice is the Ministry and FAO training, the initiative on farmer field schools on agroecology in Bolu, in again the northwest, the city northwest of Turkey. This was jointly implemented by FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. The project was implemented as part of FAO Turkey Partnership Program, and farmer fields school sessions were delivered on soil cultivation and other techniques on pulses with the participation of more than 30 farmers. I believe that further efforts are needed for the institutionalization and the systematization of agroecology orientation in schools and universities, as we can see in the case of agroecology-oriented vocational high schools in Brazil and agroecology-based university in Venezuela. Finally, so coming to the next steps to be taken as we look ahead, you know, the world's population is increasing, expected to reach 10 billion by 2050. The population of Turkey is also increasing, expected to reach 100 million by 2050. At the same time, food demand is growing 60-70% by 2050. Climate change makes its impact, and worse is depletion of natural resources. So, in addition, high pesticide use in Turkey and in the world is a major concern for consumers, including illegal pesticide use, and excessive pesticide use and misuse of other agricultural chemicals pose serious threats to agroecosystems, environmental integrity, and biodiversity. We believe that all these drivers are indicators of pressing need for agroecological transition and mainstreaming of agroecology and its components. So it requires us to look through the prism of agroecology transition. Thank you. This is the end of my presentation. I hope I was able to stick to the time limit. Thank you. And back to you, Toru.
Thank you very much, Aykut. And thank you very much for keeping that time. Excellent. Very, very interesting to hear about the agroecological transition in Turkey. Do we have a specific question for Aykut to start with already? Please feel free to raise your hand or write your question directly in the chat. While people are thinking of questions, I would like to ask about the farmer field schools. What does the future have for them? Do you have a plan to continue those on a regular basis, or how are you going further with them?
This is actually this is a project implemented under a different DG, not the DG that I'm working for, DG Agrarian Reform. But we have the contribution for the FAO Turkey partnership and these schools and these kinds of trainings, including the biodiversity and genetic resources, organic farming, or agroecology sensitive issues, are supposed to continue under that partnership, because this is a dedicated area of expertise, and that the program itself covers the areas for the incentivication of the efforts for the agroecology transition in Turkey.
Thank you very much. I see a raised hand, Torsten. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm Torsten. Thank you very much for introducing us to agroecology in Turkey. Out of curiosity, I was just wondering, is it so that all areas or all sectors in Turkey have actually been affected by the modernization of agriculture, as you so well described? And the reason I'm asking that is that I've always been under the impression that Turkey has a lot of land races, a lot of it's basically a treasure trove of seeds and plants, right? And other parts of Europe are actually often sourcing these land races in Turkey. Have I misunderstood that there is quite a lot of what do you call that? Well, agroecological practices surrounding seeds, for instance, and so on, or is everything simply under sort of green revolution influence? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Taru. May I answer the
Of
question
course,
directly?
of course.
Okay. Actually, we have some individual initiatives and efforts for agroecological orientation. And what is needed is a fully fledged and all-inclusive mainstreaming and of agroecology transition at all levels, namely policy, legislation, decision making. But the reason that we are part of that partnership, the agroecology partnership, we are part of the agroecology partnership as an associate country, that we would like to make the living labs as a possible way to to ensure mainstreaming in terms of the agroecology transition. This is the rationale behind our presence in that partnership. Also, we have some challenges that some maybe constraints that we are faced with some constraints and some challenges. This could be, from my personal point of view, the transition should be, as I mentioned before, should be inclusive of all shareholders, including ministries, government bodies, private sector, scientists, civil society, farmer organizations, and in particular farmers, and especially the smallholder ones. Still, we are faced with some inadequacy of professionalism and among those smallholders. Yes, we are well endowed with the land races and seeds and biological diversity, genetic resources, as you mentioned. But we have, on the other hand, the average age of farmers higher than 50, and this could be an obstacle to that kind of agroecological transition. So, which is why it may be difficult to persuade farmers on technological innovation or environmentally friendly applications. We encounter some sort of resistance to the brand new applications as they firmly stick to their traditional methods.
Thank you.
I hope I could answer your question.
Thank you. We can now, I see there will be a little bit more questions to Aykut in the chat, but I also now want to open up for all to have questions both for Ivana and Aykut. So if you want to know more about the survey, now is the time to raise your hand and ask Ivana. My colleague Carla Preitz will be leading the discussion, and I'm picking questions from the chat, but also giving the word for people who are raising their hand. So please feel free, ask your question or post your comment by raising your hand or posting this in the chat. Carla,
Hello.
you're welcome.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank you, Ivana and Aykut. It was nice presentations. And for Ivana, I think that the current geopolitical scenario has a significant impact on this transition. And I understand that this aspect was not addressed in the survey, but what you think about the politics in a crisis context mobilize the farmers for this transition, because that is a great challenge. And also, another important point, as I understand, the survey was shared only in the work package to partners, but it was important to analyze the type of respondents, if they are farmers or if they are politicians or scientists, that the answer can change. Also, the answer can change if they are from the funding agencies or the academic sector. So that is a point that I can discuss with you. What you mean about that?
Thank you very much, Carla, for giving a broader perspective to what I have presented in at the moment at the pilot survey results. Maybe I start with the second question, where you correctly emphasize that it is a very different perspective if we ask these same questions to somebody who is working in a farming practice as a farmer or researcher, or from administration, from governmental administration. We've worked a little bit more on this aspect in our revised survey. And from the outset, our aim was to focus on public administration. So our aim was not to ask farmers about these questions, because in the context of science to policy, we actually really want to get to the policy makers, which again, it's not always very easy. We have a blended networks in agroecology partnership, maybe where some colleagues are working on funding of research, other colleagues are working on maybe funding and policymakers, or we absolutely did not reach policymakers at the moment. So in our revised survey, we aim to reach out in the first place to policymakers and establish good contacts both on regional and national level in understanding national or regional specificities. What is the structure? Who is actually decision maker in this context? So that's something like really unfolding, unfolding the sculpture. We start from outside and we start understanding what is the network, who belongs to the network of policymakers, and these are our main target group. At least for the moment, this is what we consider important. As for the political context, we did not include it in our work. I think also for for the reason that we focus on agroecology transition, and what we could eventually ask is the policymaker, do you find that your work is impacted by external circumstances as a political context? And I can take this suggestion back to our group, but at the moment we try to reach the policymaker and ask him about this area without asking if he's really in trouble with other parts of his work. So try really to see if the science and policy has a connection without analyzing all circumstances that impact the policy as such. But thank you for highlighting this.
Thank you. Also for IUC, I feel very interesting this strategy for the agroecology transition promoted by Tajan. Do you have a specific national fund for these flagship projects from your institution?
Actually, we don't have specific fund for the agroecology transition in our country. But again, there are some individual initiatives or some partnership programs with some international organizations, as I mentioned with FAO. But we dedicate some areas of expertise covering the areas of orientation for the agroecology transition. But we are mostly dedicating or allocating our resources for some individual project generation under that kind of partnership. Otherwise, we have some, as I mentioned in my presentation, we have some opportunity areas for research under TAGAM. And this covers the modern techniques and agroecology related matters and some research areas that we promote and support that kind of these projects under these specific research areas, but not a fully fledged, as I mentioned in my reply to the previous question, and not in a fully fledged or institutionalized manner. This is why we as Turkey and TAGAM is part of that agroecology partnership, and would like to set the bar a little bit higher. This could be my answer to your question. Thank you.
Yes, we have also another question in the chat related with the research infrastructures in Turkey, national and also some with the network in the European network. Did you have these research infrastructures for advancing agroecology in Turkey? And
yeah.
Yes, and your participation in the partnership is as a research platform organization. Not you have any research platform organization in our partnership.
We are closely following the SCAR groups and attend the meetings of the sub-working groups under SCAR, and also we are in aligning our legislation, harmonizing our legislation in terms of the chapter 12, I think, plant health, food safety, and other issues. So we have a good background of organic farming. I mean the potential for organic farming, and also I mentioned in my presentation the organic farming legislation, the law, and also the regulation. This covers the whole chain throughout the value chain, the all steps and stages. So we are more or less fully could be, we could assume that we are we are to a large extent aligned with the EU legislation in terms of that organic production and also the pesticide use.
Yes, thank you. I think you answered the other question that is in the chat concerning the legislation. I don't know if somebody wants to put any other question. We have, I think, 10 minutes left, so we can continue with some
Yeah,
questions.
is there someone who wants to raise a question, pose a comment to the speakers?
Can I maybe emphasize once more a question from the presentation that maybe in the last 10 minutes people could reflect more on this part? Is it possible?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that from our work we have seen that there is the main difficulties in working not that much on issuing agroecology policies, but ensuring that really all the efforts that are within the region or the country are ensuring agroecological transition with these policies. Is there anybody in the audience that has an experience with this or has worked with certain impact assessment methods or projects that are focusing on agroecology transition? I know that colleagues from Work Package 7 with Thorsten, you work intensively on methodologies and research methodologies around this subject. But if there is somebody from regional governments or national governments that is here, would like to share some experience on this subject, be happy to hear now, or some colleagues have wrote me in the chat as well, be happy to hear from you. So this is not a question that we will close with this webinar. On contrary, I think we are trying to open this question, and me and I could, and I have seen that also our colleague Niels Hallberg from the same Work Package 2 group. We are here to listen and learn if there are some other good practices to incorporate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana. And please feel free to either contact Ivana through the chat or post your comment at any time. We do have one further question in the chat from Heide Spiegel. Did the future development of food production also consider a possible reduction in animal-based foods? Is this an option in Turkey?
Thank you for the question, Taro. Actually, there is not a such orientation in Turkey. Our major concern is the sustainability of food supply. This is the major concern. Also, the access to safe food, and this could be our option, but nothing like the reduction in the animal-based foods.
Thank you. Ivana, is this something that was considered in the survey, or is this something that is considered in the follow-up survey?
You mean the reduction of animal-based products?
Yes.
We did not include this because I think that in the survey we've stick to more traditional elements of agroecological practices. So it could be agronomic techniques that we've asked for, like use of non-till practices, or if there are certain social movements, so social aspects, or maybe organic or other holistic agricultures, but we didn't really include in agroecology transition aspects of different type of food, prioritizing different part of food, types of food, be it for nutritional or for environmental purposes. This type of this angle we didn't have in the survey. Maybe this would be maybe it's even something up for discussion if we consider that this is part of agroecology transition as a holistically understood at the moment for the policy making. We didn't include it, but maybe this would be an important to consider.
Okay, thank you. Any concluding questions or comments? While you are thinking good questions or comments, I would like to remind you all of the ask of Ivana. If we have policymakers in the audience that are very interested in the coming survey, answer it, who would like to send a link to colleagues or networks, please let Ivana know. This would be very, very valuable so that the survey would be able to cover the whole of Europe. So please let Ivana know about your networks. And we do have one final question here, or maybe we even can take two. This comes from Werner Ramchak. I have a general question. This Zoom session is about the transition to more organic farming. I recently attended a lecture on longevity. Many beneficial secondary plant compounds were mentioned. After the lecture, I asked what the speaker thought about organic food. The answer was shocking. He said he believed in it, but there is no study proving it. I checked and couldn't find any study either. How is it possible that for over 60 years, no conclusive evidence has been established that organic nutrition is better than conventional? Are you aware of any study? Ivana, this is maybe a question for you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's always nice to have an attention towards organic food and farming. I think also because of the connection to agroecological practices and having a driving force behind many of the subjects that we are working on in agroecology partnership. Having a study that proves nutritional aspects of organic food comparing to other types of food, or not having such a study, I would say it might be a little bit too definite and too hard to say that there is one study that would resolve this question. I try to incorporate in the chat result of our colleagues from FIBEL. It's an institute from Switzerland. They're working on organic research that has conducted for the past 45 years dog trials. So these are the trials. This is not nutritional study, but it's a study where organic is comparatively studied with the conventional systems, biodynamic systems, and long-term studies can show certain aspects, probably more environmental and documented other elements. But I think that we should be careful in closing the doors by saying that there is no study, and maybe studies are targeting certain crops or certain health benefits. So more holistic study, unfortunately, it has not been really my area, so I cannot say, okay, please go and see this. But I invite you also to see the Core Organic website that I posted before. There is an aspect on human health. Some of the projects carried out on human health. So I would be more cautious in having a definite answer to this. On the contrary, I think we are on a good track, and with agroecology transition, I hope that our efforts until now can just contribute to the next steps. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ivana. There is also one comment from Mariana Stasi. She is pointing towards two EU projects that both focus on agroecological transition, Conserva and Urban. So we will share the chat with the speakers, of course, as well. So it will be possible to get connected afterwards. Maria has left her email as well, so she can then be contacted for the coming survey, for example. Carla, do you have any more questions that you would like to pose?
No, it was very interesting, the two presentations. Thank you for your collaboration, and we can invite also the participants for the next conversation, the next one in the next month.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for your active participation in the discussion and asking questions from both of the speakers. The biggest thank you, of course, to the speakers of today. Thank you very much for joining us and presenting your very interesting presentations. Thank you. Thank you also the whole team of AKIS and INRAe and our task 7.1 for the organization. We will have our next conversation at the end of March. You're very welcome to join. If you are not yet on the invitation list, please do send us your email in the chat or as an email to me, and we will add you, and you will receive a monthly invitation for the conversations. If you have any wishes concerning the conversations, we are always very happy to receive some feedback. You will receive feedback forms in an email afterwards. And please feel free to suggest themes, speakers, any specific wishes that you have. We would be very happy to receive those. And now we wish you a very nice continuation of the afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you again in 1 month time. Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Taru and the whole team. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.